Found out my crush has a controversial tattoo and... The first time I saw Ethan, he was leaning against the counter at Brew and Bean, sleeves rolled up, pouring espresso, with a focus that made my chest tighten. It was a Thursday morning, the kind where the world feels sluggish but hopeful, and I'd wandered in for my usual latte. He had this quiet energy, dark hair falling into his eyes, a half smile that felt like it was just for me when he handed me my cup extra foam. Right? He'd said, voice low and warm. I'd nodded, too flustered to say much, and left with my coffee and a crush that hit me like a freight train. Over the next few weeks, I became a regular. Not just for the caffeine, but for him. We'd chat about nothing and everything. The weather, the best playlists for rainy days. How he'd once burned a batch of scones, so bad the fire alarm went off. He was funny, sharp, the kind of guy who made you feel seen without trying too hard. I'd linger at the counter, stealing glances at the way his hands moved, imagining what it'd be like to hold them. By the third week, I was doodling his name in the margins of my notebook, like some lovesick teenager, even though I was 26 and should have known better. It wasn't until a month in that I saw it. The tattoo. It was a humid Saturday, and I'd stopped by after a run, sweaty and breathless, just as his shift was ending. He'd shrugged off his apron, revealing a plain black t-shirt that clung to his shoulders. As he reached up to grab his jacket from a hook, his sleeve slid down, and there it was, inked into the inside of his forearm. A small, stark symbol, a jagged, angular design I'd seen before, but never on someone I knew. My stomach lurched. It wasn't just any tattoo. It was that tattoo. The one tied to a movement I'd read about online, a group with a reputation that made my skin crawl. Controversial didn't even cover it. It was the kind of thing that started fights, ended friendships, got people canceled. I froze, my cup halfway to my lips, the latte suddenly tasting like ash. Ethan turned, catching my stare, and his brow furrowed. "You okay, Mia?" he asked, using my name for the first time outside of writing it on my cup. His voice was still soft, still him, but all I could see was that mark on his skin. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile that felt like plastic. "Just zoned out. Long day." He nodded, oblivious, and slung his jacket over his shoulder, saying something about seeing me Monday. I mumbled a goodbye and bolted, my mind racing faster than my legs had on the trail. Back at my apartment, I paced the living room, bare feet slapping against the hardwood. This couldn't be right. Ethan, with his easy laugh and his stupidly perfect coffee pours, couldn't be that guy. I'd built him up in my head as this quiet, artsy soul. Someone who'd maybe have a lyric tattooed in cursive, not a symbol tied to hate, or at least to something people called hate. I grabbed my phone and typed the design into a search bar, hands trembling as I scrolled through articles, forums, blurry photos. There it was, over and over, linked to a fringe group, ideology that clashed with everything I thought I stood for. My chest tightened. Was this who he was? Had I been crushing on a lie? I didn't sleep that night. I kept seeing his arm, the ink etched into his skin like a confession I hadn't asked for. Part of me wanted to march back to the shop and demand answers, but the other part, the louder part, was terrified of what he'd say. What if he doubled down? What if he laughed it off like it was nothing? What if I'd been wrong about him all along? By Monday, I'd decided to play it cool. I'd go in, order my latte, and watch him. Maybe I'd misread it. Maybe it was just a coincidence. A random design he'd picked off a wall at some tattoo parlor years ago. I walked into Brew and Bean with my heart in my throat, the bell above the door jingling like a warning. Ethan was there, same spot, same half smile. "Hey, stranger," he said, already reaching for a cup. "Missed you yesterday." I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Yeah, busy weekend. Usual, please." He nodded, turning to the espresso machine, and I let my eyes drift to his arm. The sleeve was down today, covering it, but I knew it was there. My stomach twisted. I couldn't unsee it, couldn't unknow it. "You're quiet today," he said over his shoulder, tamping down the grounds. Everything good? Just tired, I said, the lie coming easier this time. He finished the latte, slid it across the counter, and leaned forward a little, elbows resting on the edge. His eyes met mine, and for a second, I forgot the tattoo, forgot the panic. It was just him. Ethan, the guy I'd been falling for. Then his sleeve slipped, just an inch, and the edge of the ink peeked out. My breath caught. You sure you're okay? He asked, frowning now. You look, I don't know, spooked. I could have brushed it off again, but something snapped. Maybe it was the sleepless night, or the way my stupid heart still fluttered when he looked at me. What's that tattoo mean? I blurted, nodding at his arm. He blinked, caught off guard, then glanced down like he'd forgotten it was there. This. He pulled the sleeve up, fully exposing it, and I braced myself. It's just something I got a while back. Why? It looks familiar, I said, my voice tight. Like something I've seen online. His frown deepened, but he didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Online? What? Like some conspiracy rabbit hole. He laughed, short and dry, but I didn't join him. His expression shifted, softening. Mia, it's not what you think. I promise. Then what is it? I pressed, crossing my arms to hide how my hands shook. Because it looks like. You know what it looks like. He straightened, running a hand through his hair, and for the first time, he seemed nervous. Okay, look. It's not that. It's personal, not political. Can we talk about this somewhere else? Not here. I hesitated. Every rational part of me screamed to walk away, to cut this off before it got messy, eh? But my feet wouldn't move. Fine, I said finally. When? After my shift. 6. Meet me out back. His eyes searched mine, pleading, and against my better judgment, I nodded. The rest of the day was torture. I sat at my desk, pretending to work, while my mind spun. What if he was lying? What if this personal story was just a cover? But then I'd picture his face. The way he'd said my name, the flicker of worry in his eyes. And I'd second-guess everything all over again. By 6, I was a wreck, pacing the alley behind the shop, the air thick, with the smell of coffee grounds and damp brick. He came out, jacket slung over his shoulder, and stopped a few feet away. Thanks for waiting, he said, voice quieter than usual. I didn't want to do this in there. Just tell me, I said, sharper than I meant. What's it mean? He sighed, rolling up his sleeve again, the tattoo stark against his skin. It's not what you're thinking. I know what it looks like. I've seen the posts too. But it's not that symbol. It's flipped, see? He held his arm out, tracing the lines with his finger. The one you're worried about goes the other way. This is something else. I squinted, leaning closer despite myself. He was right. The angles were off, reversed from the images burned into my brain. Relief flickered, but it didn't settle. Okay, so what is it? He dropped his arm, shoving his hands in his pockets. It's for my brother. He died 4 years ago. Car accident. This was his sketch, something he drew all the time. I got it after he was gone. Didn't know it looked like anything else till later. My breath hitched. Your brother? Yeah, Ben. He was 19. His voice cracked, just a little, and he looked away, jaw tight. I didn't think about it being misinterpreted. By then it was too late. I stood there, the alley shrinking around us, my chest a tangle of guilt and ache. Why didn't you just say that? Didn't think I had to, he said, meeting my eyes again. Most people don't notice, or they don't care. You're the first one who's asked. I'm sorry, I whispered, the words spilling out. About your brother, and for assuming. He shrugged, but it was heavy, not casual. You didn't know. I get it. It's not exactly subtle. We stood in silence, the hum of traffic filtering through the dusk. I wanted to say more, to fix it, but my tongue felt thick. Finally, he spoke. You still want that latte tomorrow, or did I scare you off? I managed a small laugh, shaky but real. I'll be there. He smiled, faint but genuine, and walked off into the evening. I watched him go, my crush bruised but alive, tangled now with something deeper. Empathy, maybe, or the weight of knowing someone's scars. The next morning, I went back. He made my latte extra foam, and we talked like nothing had happened. Except it had. I noticed the way he rubbed his arm sometimes, like he was still carrying Ben with him. My crush didn't fade. It shifted, grew roots. Weeks turned into months, and the tattoo stopped being a question mark. It was just Ethan. Flawed, human, mine in a way I hadn't expected. One night, over takeout at his place, he showed me Ben's sketchbook. Pages of jagged lines, wild and free. "He'd like you," Ethan said, voice soft. "You've got his kind of fire." I smiled, leaning into him. The tattoo pressed between us like a bridge, not a wall. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what it meant.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your friends. And if you'd love to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. See you in the next video.